everyone, welcome to our Crazy Life Scotland. My name's Fiona, and in this episode of Cricut for Beginners I'm going to show you how to use the text function in Design Space. Now you might say that it seems fairly straightforward, it's text, and it is to a certain extent, but there's a few hints and tips that I've learned along the way that will hopefully help you when you're making your designs. So let's get into it right now. Okay, so to get started, we want to go into Cricut Design Space. If you're not sure how to download it, go to my first video, which I will link for you, and that explains how to download the Design Space app. Now, in that video, I was using my tablet, but it's the same process if you're using your laptop. I'm back on my laptop today because that's where I feel most comfortable with Design Space. So, I want to click on Design Space till it opens up. And of course it's downloading an update. Typical. They do updates very regularly, which is a good thing because they're always trying to improve the different functions in Design Space, and text is actually one of them that has been improved recently. It's a lot easier now than it used to be. So let's wait for this to update and we'll see what it is that it has done. Usually as soon as Cricut opens after an update, it comes up with a box telling you what's new. So let's see what's new today. I'm now on version 7.27.144. If you're ever wondering what version it is, it's the little number up there that tells you. Some of the older tutorials that you'll watch on YouTube are from older versions of Design Space, so might not be 100% accurate now. Right, what's new? Edge scaling. You can now manipulate the height and width of an image or shape without having to scale the entire object. Just click and drag the side of the image you want to adjust. That's it. Oh, okay. Right, so I'm just going to hit done. Hey there, Fiona, you're looking creative today. Why, thank you, partner. Right. So what I'm going to do now is, I've still got my joy selected, I'm going to select my Explore. It doesn't matter what machine you're using, the text function is going to be the same. So I'm going to go up to New Project, and this is giving me a blank canvas. Now as you can see, my canvas is clear, there's no grid on it. I did show you how to change that in my first video. And if you are wanting to change it on the laptop, it's slightly different. You click on the little three lines up here and you go to Settings. And here it gives you a lot more options than you get in the tablet version. So you've got your language and things there. If you click on Canvas, it gives you the option for full grid, partial grid, or no grid. I've got no grid. And it gives you the option for imperial or metric, so whether you want inches or centimetres. I'm going to go to done. Now, one thing that I didn't show you in the last version, in the last video, because I didn't know how to do it on the tablet, is if you want to change the colour of your canvas, say you're going to be using text or a design that's white, and you want to be able to see it properly, if you click on the box down here where it says blank canvas, it's very hard to see, but up here it gives you the option for colour. If you click that, you can make the canvas whatever colour you want. So I might make it a grey. Okay, and that's how, if you then want to make something white, you'll be able to see it easier. Right, text is what we're talking about today. So on the left hand side, you'll see a whole load of options. You want to click on text and it brings a text box up. Now I'm just going to use the word design. So design, the font's okay, and if you come up to font, keep the box around your text, come up to font, it tells you that it's Cricut Sans that it's using and the style is regular and the font size is 72. And the operation is to cut. Now we'll come back to that later on, but I'm not keen on that font, so I want a different font. So you click the drop down arrow beside Cricut Sans. Now you get all these options, and this is where you can go, oh my god, I thought this would be easy. It actually is. They've just put loads of options in there to make it easier for you, even though it's overwhelming when you first look. So when Cricut's highlighted, this is all of the text options that are available in Cricut Design Space without having any others on your computer at all. And you will see that some of them have the little A beside them. And that means if you're a Cricut Access subscriber, you can use this font for free. Some of them, if we have a look down here, Cursive 101, it's actually telling you it's £4.49. So yes, you can use that font and it'll let you do your design and everything with that font. And then when you go to actually make it, it'll ask you for £4.49, please. I tend to stay away from things like that because there are other options which I'll tell you about later on. If you're a Cricut Access subscriber, you can use all the ones with the A, and there are a whole load of them. You just use the bar to scroll down and see what ones you like. Now, if you see any, what I do like is they've all got an example of the font with the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog and then the numbers. So without actually clicking on it, you can get a rough idea of what the text is going to look like. And underneath that, it says the name of the font. So this is DIN Next Stencil. It then says it's a single layer, which means it's going to cut, and you only need to cut one layer. Some of them are multiple layers, which can be very awkward. And there's loads and loads of different fonts. Now, here we go. This one here, DTC Bikini Babe, is single layer if you're cutting, but it's also available for writing. That is important to notice. So, for example, I'm going to, if you like a font and you think, right, I'm going to use that quite a lot, you can use a little bookmark here. You just click that and it saves it for you, so that later on, if you think, oh, what font was it that I liked? So I'm just going to go and bookmark a few of them just now, just to see. So if I go back up into the font now, and then if I go to bookmarked, it brings up the ones that I bookmarked, and that's so much easier than having to scroll through them all again. I'm going to go back to Cricut just now, and in here, if you know the name of the font that you're looking for, you can type it in. So I'll type in, I've got no idea what fonts are here. Let me type in, I'm going to type in Christmas. There's a surprise, just to see if there's any Christmas fonts in the Cricut. Here we go, 22 results for Christmas. And then you can have a look at them. That's a single layer and writing. And, oh, I quite like that. BFC Christmas cards. I do actually use that quite a lot. So I'm going to bookmark that one. And say, I think, right, I want to actually use this just now. As you can see, it's got the little download button there because I've not used it before on this computer. So I'm going to download that, and it's as quick as that, it tells you it's downloaded. The other thing that you can do, we'll take that out. If you think, oh, I don't want to search through them all, but I know that I want something that's quite modern. If you click on the modern box, it's then bringing up 254 fonts, and you can scroll through them. You can also look at classic. Oh, there's only one there, and that is Bodoni STD Poster. That's because I've got modern and classic clicked. If I take modern off, there we go. There's a lot more now, 244. What's black letter? Let's see. 9 fonts. Right, okay. So if you're looking for that sort of style, you get the idea. There's loads of different classes that you can choose from. Comic. Let's have a look at comic. You can actually be there for hours looking at all the different fonts. Right, so I think we have covered pretty much the box for the Cricut. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to say, okay, I like this one. Jolly Santa. So I've clicked that. I'll download it. And now we can see my font has changed. It's now in, if you highlight it and then look up at the font, it says Jolly Santa. Okay, now it's still saying basic cut, style regular, font size 72. If we go to style, you've got the choice of regular, which would be cutting, and you've got the choice of writing. And as you can see, it's gone very, very fine. But that's good, because when you're writing, you do tend to want finer ones. And the operation up here has changed to pen, and it's showing you that it's black. It's nice and black, but I want a nice red one. So you get different types of pens for the Cricut. These are the options for the fine point, which are 0.4mm. You would choose whichever option it is that you've got. Now, for my Cricut, it's glitter gel pens I use. So if you click on the drop-down box, click on glitter gel if that's what you've got. Now you can see it's a different thickness of pen, and that does make a difference to your design. So it is important to tell it which type of pen it is that you're using. And this brings up all the different colours in the glitter gel pens. And I'm going to go for a nice scarlet red. And there you go, our design is now in red. And it's in pen. So if I'm going to make a card, for example, I know that's going to write design for me. If I want to see what it looks like to cut, when it's highlighted, you can come up to this section up here, and the little double page with the plus is to duplicate. So if you click on that, it gives you your letter, your word again. Now, it's moved it up to the top, but so we can see them both, if you just click on the word and use your mouse, you can move it about the place. Okay, so I've now got two that are writing, but I want to compare it to see what it's like if it cuts. So I'm going to go up to Operation, and I'm going to go to Cut Basic. Okay, now it's still at writing here, so it's went to Print then Cut. We don't want that. We want Regular and Operation Cut Basic. There we go. Now it's changed it back to black, but you can just click on the little colour up here and change it. Now your material colours, the very top will be the recent colours that you've used. So we've got the black in that, and we've got the red in that. So if I want to make it the same red, I just click on that. And there we go. So that's what it looks like if it's going to cut. See how thick it is compared to that? That's what it looks like if it's going to write. Now it is important to change it to whichever one you want. A, because it looks different. So I'm going to duplicate this one. So I'll go back up here, duplicate. It's still highlighted, and I want to change this now to a font that isn't for writing, it's just for cutting. So what you can do up here, the two lines, that's a filter. If you click on there, you get lots of different options. Kerned is a font that joins together instead of being separately letters, and you can choose multi-layer cutting, single layer cutting, writing, free. So if you're not an Access subscriber, it will tell you which ones are free. It will tell you which ones you've already purchased from Cricut, and it will tell you which ones are downloaded from Cricut. But I'm going to go here to single layer cutting. So, why is it still giving me writing? I don't know. Let's have a look for one. Oh, because it's giving me cutting and writing as the option. Let's go for, I'm looking for one that's not going to write, please. Here we go. So this one here is single layer. So that's cutting, it doesn't say writing. So if I download that and then choose that one, you can see here it has changed. Now, if I like that, but I didn't realise that it's not suitable for writing, if I then go up here, I've not got the writing option. It used to give you the writing option, and then when you tried to write with it, it would give you the outlines and the inside would be hollow, and it looked a bit strange. I wonder if I go to Basic Cut, If I try to change it to pen, look, that's what happens. So if you try to make it a right one with the pen, you might be going for that look. You know, you might want to colour it in yourself, which is fine. So if you were to use that to make it, it wouldn't cut, it would use the pen and it would draw it, but it would draw it hollow. And then you could colour it in yourself if you want, or you could put glitter in it, you could do what you want. But it's just to let you see that you need to be careful. If you know you want it to write, check a font, use a font that says writing beside it. There are lots of different sites out there that you can get fonts from, and a lot of them are free. So I never buy any fonts in Cricut Design Space. If I want a different font, I go to a different site. One of the main ones that I use is Dafont, and I'll put that on the screen. I'll try to remember to put the link to it in the description box. And you get hundreds of different fonts that are free. The other one is Design Bundles. They've got a whole load of fonts. I've got a subscription to them, so there's a lot of fonts that I can get free. But if not, be quiet. You don't have a subscription, you can, there are still some free fonts there, I believe. And the other one is, I think they're So Fontsy and Creative Fabrica. They have got a load. So I'll try to remember to put links in, but I'm going to talk about other sites in a different video. So just now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you to Dafont. I'm going to show you how you pick a font that you want and how to download it and then get it into Cricut Access. It's not quite as easy as you think, is it? Okay, so I'm going to keep Design Space open, but I'm just going to minimise it using the little line there. And then I'm going to open my internet. As you can see, I've been on YouTube earlier looking at different crafts, that's resin there. So get another tab, and then you want to type in, as you can see, I've used Dafont before, Dafont. And then it brings up Dafont download fonts. So click on that. I'll look at all these fonts. There are hundreds and hundreds of fonts. You can choose from themes, so you get fancy ones, foreign looking ones, techno, bitmap, gothic, script, dingbats, holiday, loads of different things. Of course, mine is already on Christmas because it's me and everything's Christmas. You can choose from serif, sans serif, script, decorative. There's loads. You can play about for ages in that. But say I want one that is, I don't know, it's design that I'm doing, but I'm wanting to do some nice writing on a card. I'm going to go to script and then calligraphy. And look, it brings up different calligraphy fonts. Now, if you have a look, what is written in the font is the name of the font. So this one's called Simple Thread, so they've written Simple Thread. Always smile, better together. If you want to see what your specific word is going to look like in that font, you go to Preview, click that box, and I'm going to type Design. And you can sort it by size. I'll leave it at medium just now. Popularity, doesn't matter. Press Submit. And now the same fonts come up, but instead of the font name, the word underneath it is Design. So you can see what your word is going to look like in that font. Now, I quite like this one. This is Simple Thread. So, for example, I'm just going to go with this one, but you can scroll through lots and lots and lots and lots. You can be there forever. And trust me, when I start designing, I look and I look and I look. Oh, that's pretty. Joseph Sophia. I might actually go for that one and say, this is what happens. And there's actually 197 pages of calligraphy script fonts. But I like this. So what I'm going to do, because I like it, I'm going to go along here. You get the option, it's free for personal use, so you can't use this to sell, but if it's for your own thing, then you can use it. And you get the option to download, and then you get the option to donate to the author. So although it's free, you can actually give the author a little bit of money just to say thanks. Personally, I haven't, but you can. So I'm going to click on download. And then my downloads come up here. And that's it downloaded. I'm going to go to Open File. Now, what you'll see is a whole load of different options that come up. I like to extract all. It's in a zip file at the moment. If you don't understand computers, don't worry about it. Just follow the steps that I'm going to show you because it took me a while. So, there's a whole load of different things in here. So, I'm going to go up to Extract All. And then it gives you the option to tell it where you want the files to go. I like to browse. And I'm going to go into my downloads. And I'm going to set up a new folder, which is here. So you want to name your folder something. I'm going to call it script fonts. To go into that folder, I'm going to select folder. And now it says it will be extracted to this folder, downloads script fonts. And that's what I want. So I'm going to go down here and click extract. If you just click extract without changing the folder, it will still work, but you need to find it in your folder. So I find it easier to do that. So I like to come out of both of these and then make sure that it has actually downloaded okay. So I'm going to go into my folder. I'm going to look at my downloads. And I have got script fonts here. So I'm going to open that. And you've got a whole load of type. Now, what you're looking for is either the open type font or the true type font. Most fonts give you the option. I don't really know the difference between them. I usually go for the open type font. It's up to you. What I tend to do is pick one and stick with it. So I'm going to try this with the open type font. So I'm going to double click on that and it shows me what the script looks like. So up here, I'm going to click on install. And that's it now installed to my computer. So it's called Joseph Sophia. I usually write down the names of them so that I remember when I go into Cricut. So now if I go back to my Cricut page, I've got my word highlighted. I'm going to go into font and I'm going to, in the box, I'm going to put Joseph because it's Joseph Sophia. Oh, there's no option. There's no results. Ah, that's because I'm in Cricut and Cricut doesn't have a font called that. So I want to go to system because I've just downloaded it to my system. And I'm going to go for Joseph again. How's it not there? I've just downloaded it. Because if Cricut Access, if Design Space is already open when you install your font, it won't be there. And it used to be that you had to close down Design Space and then open it up again and the font would be there. However, I believe now there is a way to just refresh it and I'm trying to figure out what way it is. If you go to View, Force Reload. And it reloads it. I hadn't saved it, which was silly, but it's reloaded. So now if I go into text and I type design, I go up to my font. It's not in the Cricut, it's in the system. So now I go for Joseph. As you can see, I've got a lot of downloaded fonts already, and it's got one result for Joseph. And it's Joseph Sophia. And it's a single layer cutting, so it's not a writing. Even though it looked like a writing font, it's not. It's actually a cutting font. But I want to remember that one because I like it. So I'm going to bookmark it. And then if I click on the canvas, it's changed the font. I love that font, actually. I'm going to use that quite a lot. So I'm going to change it to red. And I want to see what it would look like if I did try writing it. So I'm going to click on it. I'm going to go up here and duplicate it. I like to do that so that you can compare them side by side. And I want to try, no, it's only regular, so it's not a writing font. I'm going to go to Operation and change it to pen. And that's what it would look like if I wrote it on a card. And again, it's fine. You can go ahead and you can colour it in if you want, but it's actually meant for cutting. So that is how you download fonts to your system and then upload them to Design Space. Let's do one more. So I'm going to go back to Dafont. I want one that is decorative. In fact, no, I'm going to go back to Christmas because I love Christmas. So I'm going to go to holiday, then Christmas, and look, it brings up lots of different things. That Christmas flakes is beautiful. Oh, look. So again, I'm going to type in design so I can see what my word is going to look like. Submit. Oh, Merry Christmas. That's lovely, isn't it? Got the little snowflakes around it. But you do need to watch, because if that's a cut file, all those little tiny snowflakes are going to try to be cut by the Cricut, and that can be a bit of a nightmare. Let's see what, oh, candy cane one. Oh, look at that one. So that's like dingbats. So if you type a specific letter, so if you type D, that's what you would get. E, S, I, G, N, you know, you get the idea. So it doesn't type letters, it types pictures, which can be good for Christmas projects. Oh, different snowflakes. Christmas icons. There's 13 pages of these ones. Trying to pick one that I know I've not already downloaded. Right, this might be a good example. So, Waving at Christmas by Cat B. I'm going to go along here. I'm going to download. I'm going to open file. And there's only 2 options in here this time, but I'm still going to extract them because it's still a zip file. So always when you've downloaded something, go to extract all. It's wanting to put it in downloads, Waving at Christmas, but I want to change that, so I'm going to go to browse. And it's still showing downloads, script fonts. I'm just going to put it in there. So I'm going to select folder and then extract. I'm going to come out here, just make sure it's definitely in the right place. Go into my folder, downloads, script fonts, and Waving at Christmas. So here it is, it's only a true type font, there's not an open type font for this one. So I'm going to double click it, it shows us what it looks like. I'm going to click install. There we go, that's it installed on our computer now. But remember, it won't be installed in Design Space at the moment. If we click on Design, and we try to change it to, so we're still in System because it's not a Cricut font, we've not bookmarked it. We're going to change that to Wave. There's none. I'm going to save it this time. So if you're going to save, click on Save, and you can call it whatever you want. So I'm just going to call it Font. And so that my new font is in here, I'm going to click on View. I'm going to try just reload instead of force reload and see. Reload, that's there, so that's good. So if you just reload rather than force reload, it keeps your design there. So I want to click on that. I want to go up to the font. It's not a Cricut font, so I want to click on System. I want to put Wave. There we go, Waving at Christmas. So this is still a cutting one. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to bookmark it for future. And, oh, look. So, get rid of this one just now. If you want to make it bigger, you can go up here to the font size and change it, or you can just grab the corner and drag. Now, the reason I'm doing that is the little tiny bits in there are really nice and decorative. However, because it's a cut font, the machine is going to try to cut all of those tiny little bits, which probably won't work very well. It probably just make a mess. So it's maybe not the best font to use, but that's why I picked it, to show you that if you have got anything in the middle of letters, then it could cause problems when you're cutting it. If I want to see what that would look like when I write it, still only regular because it's not a writing font, but if you go up here and you go to pen, look. So I'm pretty sure, I'm not sure if it would actually just draw all those bits. I suppose it must, but again, that would be a bit of a nightmare. So I'm not actually going to use that font. So what I want to do now, text. I've got my text box. Now, what you will notice is the first time you go for text, it comes up in Cricut Sans, but if you delete everything and then you try to write something else, when you click text, it comes up with the last font that you used. So in our case, it's Waving at Christmas. So I'm going to not click on anything while it's highlighted. You can press backspace and then start typing. So I'm going to put design. And I'm going to come up to font. And I've decided I don't actually like that font, so I'm going to unbookmark it. So you basically click that until it's blank again, and that's it. It's not bookmarked anymore. Now, if we want to use, let's say, what we'll go for, fashion. Or cursive. Yeah, let's go for cursive. There's 107 fonts, and this one looks quite nice. It's a single layer and it's a writing. So let's go for that one. I'm going to download it. And now you can see that it's nice, but what on earth has happened to all the letters? They're all miles apart. We don't want that. So you can come up here to letter space and you can click the down arrow and you can see them getting closer and closer and closer together. But now the E and the S have joined up and the G and the N have joined up, but the I and the G haven't. So sometimes with font like that, what you want to do is you want to move the letters individually so that they're close to each other, but it's all one word just now. I can't get just a single letter. The reason for that is all of the letters are grouped together. So I'm going to come over here and it says ungroup. So I'm going to click that. And that now shows you that all the letters are separate. So if I click on the N, it highlights just that one. So you can use your mouse, or I prefer just to use the keys on the computer. So I'm going to use the right arrow. And you can see it's moving miles away. And the reason I like doing that is because it stays on the same level. You're not accidentally moving it up and down. So I'm going to use the key to put it right back. And we can keep moving it. Until they're together. Then you can do the same with the I. Then the S. As you can see, it can take a wee while to do this, but once you got the hang of it, it's actually not too bad. And I'll show you a better way in a second. The D doesn't actually join, but we need it to be nice and close. Anyway. Right, so there we have got our word pretty much all joined up, but because it's the way that it is just now, all the letters are still single. So if I tried to make it, watch what happens on the mat. Look, it changes all the letters all over the place. We don't want that. We want it to type as a proper word. So if you click the left mouse button on the outside and then drag just to cover it all like that, we can group it again. So we go back up to beside where you duplicate and you click group. So now if we move it about, it stays as one. However, Watch what happens if we make it. So go up to make it. It's still doing that. Why? That's crazy. Going to cancel. And it's because you haven't actually told Cricut that you want it to be typed like that, to be cut like that. So what you can do is you go down to the little buttons down here and click attach. So you can do it that way. But what will happen is if there's a tiny wee gap in between your letters, it'll cut and it won't stay together. So what you really want to do is you want to go back down here to combine, and then you want to click weld. And that way, if we make it bigger, so just drag, it's going to, even though there might be a tiny, tiny little gap there, if it's touching at all, it's going to weld together. It's going to stay there. So it will cut as one. Does sound quite complicated. There's probably better tutorials out there, but right, so let's click text again. I'm going to click design, and as you can see, it's still using the Alexis Mattox font. So I'm going to click up here. I'll stay in the Cricut, but this time I want cursive. But if we go back to the filter, I'm going to click kerned. And that means it brings up fonts that already join up. So you don't need to go through all of that. Whoops. My filter's still on because it says 1. So now if I pick, for example, this one, ball game. It has changed, and as you can see, the letters are joined together. If they're still a little bit close for your liking, you can go up to letter space and the top arrow, and that will move them apart slightly. But as you can see, they are already together. I'm not too sure on the D. I think I want that a wee bit closer. So you click on it, you go to ungroup. I'm just going to highlight the D. Whoops. Highlight the D. And then use my arrow to move it along a bit so it's closer to the E, like that. That looks better, doesn't it? So then you want to drag over it all and then go back to group. And there you go. Now, although it's already kerned, you still want to make sure that it cuts properly, that it all stays together. So you want to go to combine and then weld. And then it tells you there, weld result, so it's welded together. And you can still change the colour if you want. It tells you it's going to cut. Go into your wee colour, and I want a dark red this time. And there you go. So now if I go to make it, it shows that it's all together. And don't worry about the colour of the mat, that's telling you the colour of the material that you want to use. But I'll cover that in another video. Let's look to see if there's anything else that we have missed. Now that it's welded, it's difficult. Once it's welded, you can't really do anything with it. So I'm going to delete this and type another design. Okay, so we went through how you change the colour and change it to right. What you can also do is, if you want to change the size, you can use the up and down arrows up there, or you can just grab it and drag it like that. We've looked at the letter space, the line space, so say I want to change this, so if I double click in it, it will let me edit it. So if I press enter, so underneath I want, so design, I'm going to put space, because we're in design space. Okay, you think, yeah, that's quite nice, but they're awful far apart. What you can do now is go up to the line space, and you can use the arrow. Just keep tapping on the arrow and it will bring it closer and closer together for you. Or if you know how close you want it to be, you can type it in. So you can type, it's at minus. If you want it to get closer, you want to go down the way, so you want to go to minuses. So we'll go for -5 and see what that looks like. There. And that brings it up for you. What you can also do is you can change the alignment. So at the moment it's centered, But if you come up to alignment, click the drop down box, you can have it left, so it's aligned to the left, or you can change it to the right, like that, or nah, I prefer it in the middle, so I'll go for centre, like that. Also, right, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take out the space. I just want design. Now say you have got a round blank, maybe you're putting it on a Christmas tree bauble and it's round, it's a circle. So what you can do is you can curve it. So if you come up here to curve, and it brings up this slidey bar, and if you slide it to the right, you can see it's curving down the way, like that. So if you've got a circle on the outside, you can curve it to match. But if it's on the bottom of the circle and you want it to go the other way, you just put the slider to the left, like that. And then once you've done that, you can you can ungroup it and put all the letters closer together again. And then you think, no, I actually just want it straight. So just put your slider back in the middle, like that, and it's straight again. If you've got, say, a card, and you're doing a card and you want it to be the full width of the card, and you think, right, okay, so my card is 5 inches wide. I'm still in inches for some reason, which is unusual for me. Your card is 5 inches wide, so rather than going to the font size or trying to drag it to make sure that it's 5 inches, what you can do is you can come up to size and you can change the width. You can use the arrow, or you can click in there and change it to 5. Now, because the height, the little padlock there is locked, the height changes in proportion to the width. But say it's now too high, I don't want it to be as tall as that, what you can do is you can click the unlock padlock, and you can change the height to, say, 1.5. And there you go. So it's still 5 inches wide, but it's not as tall. It's only 1.5 inches tall, which looks a bit different, but it might be the look you're going for. So that is how you can change the size of it. And then if you're happy, you can lock the padlock again, so that if you do accidentally change it, it's going to be in proportion. Whereas if the padlock is unlocked, you can make it go like that, or you can make it go like that. If you've done that and you think, oh, I want it the way that it was, you've always got the undo button, which is up here. So if you press undo, it changes it back. And if I press undo again, it keeps changing it. So you can always undo whatever you've done. I do believe that's pretty much everything that you need to know about using text in Design Space. I know it's a long video and I apologise for that, but quite often the text is a big part of your design, and I used to spend hours wondering how I could get it to work properly. So using these little hints and tips is a good idea. Watching this video, I know it's a drag, but if you've learned even just one thing that's going to make your designing life easier, then I'm happy. So hopefully it has made sense to you. If you do have any questions about it, please feel free to ask them in the comments below. I'm more than happy to answer any questions, or just any comments in general. I do like chatting to you. If you found this useful and you're going to want more tutorials like this, please hit the thumbs up button and also hit subscribe, and then change the little bell to all, and that way you'll get notified every time I upload a video. So yes, I hope this has been useful for you. Thanks so much for watching and sticking by me if you've stuck with me till the very end, and I will see you in our next one. Thanks everyone. Bye.